9:30 max.
If today was your last, would you still waste it? And if life never stopped, would you still build so small? This video isn't about hype, it's about truth. Most people live like they've got endless time, but act like they don't believe in tomorrow. They wait, they overthink, they hold back, and before they know it, years pass and nothing changes. But there's a better way. You can live like every moment matters and still build something real that lasts beyond you. You don't have to choose between presence and progress. You can have both. This message will challenge how you see your time, your goals, and yourself. It will push you to stop watching life from the sidelines and start showing up fully today. Because the real win, living like this is your only shot, and building like you'll keep becoming someone greater day after day. Watch this to the end. It might be the reset you didn't know you needed. Chapter 1. Face today with full presence and no hidden regrets. When you wake up in the morning, the day doesn't ask for your permission. It's already started. The clock is ticking, and time is moving forward whether you're ready or not. That's the truth we often forget. We move through our routines half awake, thinking we have endless tomorrows to fix, to try, to love, to say what we mean, to start that project, to change that habit. But what if today was it? What if this was your last shot to give everything you've got to life? How would you show up then? Most people live as if they'll live forever. They save their best energy for later, their kind words for later, their dreams for later. But later has broken more dreams than failure ever has. When we live half present, we live half alive. To face today with full presence means you decide to stop waiting for a better moment and start living this one with everything you've got. Presence is not a complicated idea. It's the simple act of reality of this moment. When people often say they want a better life, but a better life begins with being fully alive in the one you already have. The moment you live halfway, every conversation back. Regret doesn't come from, it's the honesty, with courage, with effort. When you live that way, life starts to open up. You start noticing things you've missed for years, the way your child laughs, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the simple peace of a morning routine done with purpose. You begin to feel alive in ordinary moments, and that feeling, that connection to the present, that's what makes life worth living. But presence requires effort. It's not easy in a world that constantly pulls your attention in 100 directions. Your phone, your notifications, your worries about tomorrow, they all steal your attention little by little. To be present, you have to fight back. You have to train your mind to come back to this moment again and again. When your mind drifts, bring it back. When you catch yourself lost in thought, take a breath and look around. Notice where you are. Feel the ground beneath your feet. That's where life is. The truth is, we don't need more time. We need more awareness of the time we already have. You could live 80 years, but if you spend most of it distracted or waiting, you'll feel as if you never really lived. You could live 40 years fully awake, and that life would feel rich, meaningful, and complete. The quality of your life isn't measured in years, but in presence. Facing today with full presence also means being honest with yourself. It means asking, what am I avoiding? Maybe it's a conversation you need to have, a dream you've been afraid to chase, a truth you've been unwilling to face. Every day you delay, you trade a little piece of your potential for comfort. Comfort feels good now, but it steals growth later. When you live like today is your last,
Like they
you
want to
don't
play
waste
this
time pretending.
no.
You say what needs to be said. You forgive faster. You appreciate people more. You do the work with your whole heart. You live clean,
So I'm
not
doing nothing the
perfect,
first 5
but
minutes.
honest. You stop carrying guilt and grudges because you realize how
We close
pointless they
there,
are.
then we
You
start
stop living for approval
retesting midpoint.
because you
Failure to
understand that
close.
nobody
Not sure.
remembers your doubts. They remember your actions. Many
If you
people
run
wake
out of
up
clothes,
one day realizing they've been busy but not fulfilled. They've achieved things, but they haven't lived. They were so focused on someday that they missed every today. Don't make that mistake. Life doesn't give refunds for wasted time. Every sunrise you get is a new invitation to show up completely. Presence also means accepting life as it is not
I would
as you
usually
wish
buy
it to
this.
be. Most
But now we
stress
have it
comes
for
from
us.
fighting reality, from wishing things were different. But when you accept what is, you free your energy to do something about it. You stop being a victim of your situation and start being a participant in your own life. Acceptance doesn't mean you give up. It means you
Patient.
see clearly where you are so you can move forward wisely. There's another part to presence: gratitude. Gratitude grounds you in the now. When you focus on what's missing, you live in lack. When you notice what's good, you live in abundance. Even in hard times, there's something to be thankful for: the fact that you're still breathing, still learning, still capable of change. Gratitude doesn't make life perfect. It makes life clear. It shifts your mind from what's gone wrong to what's still possible. Every day you live fully present. You train your mind to see beauty in simplicity. The morning air, a smile, a meal, a quiet
Retest
walk.
of 5 minutes.
These become experiences, not
Just
routines. You stop chasing happiness
going
and
for
start
Ebola.
feeling it in small, real ways.
Okay.
You realize happiness was never in the next big thing.
So
It
we
was always
retested
in the depth of your attention.
4 hours
To
over
face today with full presence, start
early.
small. When you wake up, take a moment before touching your phone. Breathe. Feel the start of a new day. Think of one thing you're grateful for. As you move through your day, give your full attention to each task. When you talk to someone, look into their eyes and really listen. When you eat, slow down and taste your food. When you
0.25
work,
weekly.
give your best effort, not because someone's watching, but because you owe it to yourself. At night, reflect on the day. Ask yourself, did I show up today? Did I live like it mattered? If you didn't, that's okay. You get another chance tomorrow until one day you won't. And that's why this matters. See, nobody knows how many days they have left. Some people live like they'll live forever, and they end up wasting the only thing they can't replace: time. The people who live fully are not those who have the most, but those who make the most of what they have. There's a quiet power that comes from living with presence. You stop being afraid of missing out because you're fully engaged in what's in front of you. You stop envying others because you're too busy being alive in your own life. You stop rushing because you realize the only race worth winning is the one against your own potential. You can't
Did
change
not form the
yesterday,
DR.
and you can't live
What
tomorrow.
did we form is
All you have is now: this breath, this heartbeat, this conversation, this choice. That's where your life is happening. That's where growth begins. Imagine if you lived today as if it truly mattered. You'd speak more kindly, you'd work with focus, you'd smile more, you'd forgive faster, you'd stop holding back your best self. You'd give more, love more, and complain less. You'd stop saying someday and start saying today. When you live like this, you don't just change your day, you change your life. Because every day you live with full presence adds up. It shapes your habits, your relationships,
alright.
your
So
peace.
now
One fully lived
can't
day
really buy
after
or sell
another
this.
becomes a fully lived
Need more
life.
information.
Presence isn't about perfection, it's about honesty. It's about showing up even when you're tired, caring even when no one notices, trying even when it's hard. It's about knowing that this moment right here, right now, is part of your legacy. Life is fragile, it's short, but it's also unbelievably beautiful when you choose to see it. You don't control how long you live, but you do control how well you live. You control whether you show up or drift through your days. You control whether you say, "I'll do it later," or "I'll do it now." So face today with full presence. Give it your heart, your focus, your attention. Speak honestly, work diligently. Appreciate the people around you. Feel the air in your lungs. Notice that you're alive right now. That's not small, that's everything. When you live this way, something changes inside you. You stop chasing life, and life starts meeting you halfway. You begin to feel at peace, not because everything's perfect, but because you're finally here, not in the past, not in the future, but fully in the miracle of now. That's what it means to face today with full presence and no hidden regrets. It's not a slogan. It's a way of living that gives meaning to every breath you take. It's how ordinary days turn into an extraordinary life. Because the truth is simple, this moment is your life, and it's happening right now. So give it everything you've got. Chapter 2. Calm your thoughts by trusting yourself through uncertainty. Uncertainty is the part of life that none of us can escape. No matter how carefully you plan, how much you prepare, or how strong you think you are, there will always be moments when the future feels blurry. Those moments test you. They ask you one question: do you trust yourself enough to stay calm when you can't see what's ahead? Most people panic when things go unclear. They lose patience. They start to doubt every choice they've made. But the truth is, calm doesn't come from control. Calm comes from trust. Trust that you've handled hard things before, and you'll handle them again. There are times when life will change without asking your permission. You'll face decisions where you can't be sure what the right answer is. You'll lose things you thought you needed. You'll feel the ground move under your feet. In those moments, your mind will want certainty. It will want guarantees. But life doesn't give guarantees. It gives opportunities. And how you handle uncertainty decides how strong you become. When fear hits, the first instinct is to overthink.
I don't
You
want
start
this.
replaying scenarios in your mind, searching for a sign, a reason, a plan that makes you feel safe. But overthinking doesn't make you safe. It just drains your energy. You can spend hours trying to predict the
I think it's
future
so
and still
long.
end
Yeah.
up in the same place, unsure. The answer isn't in knowing everything. It's in trusting that you'll know what to do when it matters. To trust yourself, you have to remember the times you made it through before. Think back to a situation that scared you once, something you thought would break you, but somehow you got through it. You didn't have all the answers then either, but you
Order
figured it
filled.
out. You found a way. That's what trust is built on: proof from your own past that you are capable, that you can adapt, that you can learn as you go. Calm is not the absence of chaos. It's the presence of confidence. When you trust yourself, you stop trying to fight uncertainty and start moving through it. You stop asking, "What if it doesn't work?" and start saying, "I'll handle it if it doesn't." That small shift changes everything. Instead of being frozen by fear, you begin to act from faith in your own ability. People often wait for the world to feel safe before they act. They say they'll start when things settle down, when they know more, when they feel ready. But that day never comes, because life is never fully stable. Growth always comes with risk. The people who move forward aren't the ones who know everything. They're the ones who trust that they can learn whatever's required. You can't calm your thoughts by trying to silence them. You calm them by grounding yourself in truth. The truth that you've faced change before. The truth that fear doesn't mean stop it, means pay attention. The truth that uncertainty is not danger, it's possibility. Every breakthrough, every success, every life change you've admired came from someone who stepped forward not knowing how it would end. Start by talking to yourself with honesty.
If you
When
found
your
myself,
mind
just
spins with
enter
worry,
on the
don't feed it with panic. Tell yourself,
my trailer.
I don't have to know everything right now. I just need to trust myself enough to take the next step. You don't climb a mountain in one jump. You take it one step at a time, trusting that each move will reveal the next. The mind always wants control because control feels safe. But control is an illusion. The more you try to control everything, the more anxious you become. The only real control you have is how you respond. You can't control the weather, but you can carry an umbrella. You can't control other people, but you can control your attitude. You can't control the future, but you can control your choices right now. When you focus on what you can control, your thoughts begin to quiet. Another key to calmness is to keep your environment in order. Chaos outside fuels chaos inside. When your space is cluttered, your mind feels heavier. Clean your surroundings, organize what you can. The act of creating order reminds your brain that you have power over something. It's not about perfection, it's about restoring a sense of stability. It also helps to slow down. When life feels uncertain, the natural response is to rush to fix everything fast, to find answers quickly. But speed fuels anxiety. Slowing down gives your mind time to breathe. When things feel like they're falling apart, pause. Breathe deeply. Look around. Ask yourself, what's the next small thing I can do right now? That single act grounds you in the present, and from the present, you can think clearly. Trusting yourself is built through action. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it by doing. Every time you make a decision and stand by it, even when you're unsure, you strengthen your trust muscle. Every time you take responsibility instead of blaming others, you build belief in your own power. The more you practice, the stronger that trust becomes. There will always be noise, opinions, doubts, fears. People will question your path. Some will try to make you doubt yourself. That's why self-trust is vital. When you trust yourself, you don't crumble under pressure. You listen, you evaluate, and you choose your direction with calm clarity. You stop needing approval because your own approval becomes enough. Remember, calm doesn't mean nothing bothers you. It means things bother you less because you believe in your ability to handle them. Life will test that belief. You'll have days when everything feels uncertain, when plans fall apart, when you're unsure what's next. On those days, remind yourself, you've been through hard things before, and you're still here. You're wiser, stronger, and more capable than you give yourself credit for. You can create small practices to strengthen that inner calm. Start your day with silence.
Break even.
Before reaching for your phone, take a few minutes to breathe and notice how you feel. Write down one thing you're grateful for and one thing you're ready to face today. That act of acknowledgement builds awareness. Throughout the day, when anxiety rises, return to your breath. Slow, deep breathing signals your brain that you are safe. Another powerful habit is journaling through uncertainty. When your mind is full of worries, put them on paper. Writing helps you separate facts from fears. You start to see that many of your thoughts are just predictions, not truths. This awareness reduces their power. Once your worries are visible, you can focus on what's real and what you can actually do about it. Surround yourself with calm energy. Spend time with people who bring you peace, not panic. The company you keep shapes your mindset. Listen to voices that encourage growth, not fear. Protect your mental space the same way you'd protect your home. You decide what enters. The process of trusting yourself also means forgiving yourself. You won't always get things right. You'll make mistakes, miss chances, say the wrong thing, or choose a path that doesn't work out. That doesn't mean you can't trust yourself. It means you're human. Self-trust grows when you stop punishing yourself for being imperfect and start learning from every experience. Calmness through uncertainty isn't built overnight. It's built each time you choose patience over panic, reflection over reaction, progress over perfection. Every small win counts. When you stay calm, your mind opens. You begin to see solutions that fear would have hidden. You begin to think clearly, act wisely, and lead yourself with confidence. When things feel uncertain, remind yourself that uncertainty is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of movement. It means you're growing, stretching beyond comfort, stepping into the unknown where growth happens. You can't evolve while holding on to guarantees. Every meaningful change begins with a moment of not knowing. There's peace that comes from trusting that life unfolds as it should. You may not understand every challenge while you're in it, but someday you'll look back and see why it had to happen that way. The people you met, the lessons you learned, the strength you discovered, they'll all make sense. You can relax into that truth even before you see the full picture. No one avoids uncertainty. The difference between people who break under it and those who rise through it is the relationship they have with themselves. If you build trust with yourself, you'll always have a steady center no matter what happens around you. So, when the future feels unclear, stop running from the feeling. Stand still for a moment. Breathe. Remind yourself that you've faced the unknown before. Tell yourself, I can handle this. Then take one step forward. That's how you calm your thoughts, not by escaping uncertainty, but by walking through it with faith in yourself. When you start living that way, uncertainty loses its power. You stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as a chance to grow. You stop fearing change and start working with it. You realize that no matter what happens, you'll adjust, you'll learn, and you'll continue. That's the strength of true calmness. It doesn't come from everything being certain, it comes from knowing that you'll be okay even when it's not. And that's the kind of calm that lasts. It's not the calm that depends on quiet conditions. It's the calm that survives the storm. It's the peace that says, whatever comes next, I trust myself to face it. When you reach that point, life becomes lighter. You still face challenges, but you don't crumble. You still feel fear, but it doesn't control you. You stop waiting for life to be easy and start becoming strong enough to meet it as it is. That is the real power of trusting yourself through uncertainty. It's not arrogance. It's not pretending you know everything. It's choosing to believe that no matter what happens, you will respond with courage, wisdom, and grace. That's how you calm your thoughts. That's how you grow stronger. That's how you move forward, even when you can't see what's ahead. Chapter 3. Grow real confidence by doing what you said you would. Confidence is not something you are born with. It's not a gift life hands out to a lucky few. Confidence is built. It's earned. It grows every time you keep your word to yourself. Real confidence doesn't come from compliments or achievements. It comes from knowing deep down that when you say you'll do something, you actually follow through. That's where strength begins. In quiet promises that you keep when nobody's watching. Most people think confidence is about feeling ready before they start. They wait for the right mood, the right motivation, the right moment. But those moments rarely come. The truth is, confidence doesn't appear before action. It grows after action. You become confident by doing. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you can count on you. That's how you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Think about the people you admire, the ones who walk with assurance, speak clearly, and seem grounded. They weren't born that way. They've simply practiced doing what they said they would. Over time, that consistency created a quiet inner strength. They don't need to talk about their confidence
Great point.
because it shows in how they move,
Go
decide,
back to the
and act.
challenge.
When you break promises to yourself, you weaken that foundation. Each time you say you'll start tomorrow and don't, your mind takes note. It remembers. It begins to question you. Soon, when you make new commitments, that little voice in your head says, "You've said this before." That doubt doesn't come from other people. It comes from the evidence you've given yourself. But when you keep your word, that same voice starts to say, "I can trust myself. I finish what I start." That's the moment your confidence begins to grow root. Doing what you said you would isn't about perfection. You're not expected to succeed at everything you attempt. What matters is effort and follow through. When you commit to waking up early and actually do it, even once, you build self-respect. When you say you'll work out and show up despite not wanting to, you strengthen discipline. When you promise to be kind and hold your tongue instead of reacting, you grow maturity. Every kept promise adds a small brick to your inner structure. Over time, that structure becomes unshakable. Confidence isn't loud. It's quiet and consistent. It's found in the small actions repeated daily, not in big declarations made once in a while. If you tell yourself you'll study for 1 hour, do it. If you tell yourself you'll read instead of scrolling your phone, do it. It's not the size of the action that matters, it's the integrity behind it. Keeping your own word builds a sense of personal credibility that no one can take away. Every time you break a commitment to yourself, your mind loses a bit of faith in you. That's why people often feel uncertain or insecure, not because they lack ability, but because they've stopped trusting their own follow-through. They've made too many promises that never became action. To rebuild that trust, start small. Set one simple goal, something you can complete today, and do it. Finish it fully. Don't overpromise, just deliver. Confidence grows when you collect small wins. When you keep your word, your relationship with yourself changes. You begin to respect your own effort. You feel proud of yourself, not for what others see, but for what you know you've done. That pride is healthy. It's the kind that gives you quiet strength, not arrogance. It reminds you that you're capable of creating results, not just wishing for them. People often chase motivation, thinking they need to feel inspired before they take action. But it's the other way around. Action creates motivation. Every time you take a step, even when you don't feel like it, your brain learns that you're serious. The next time, it becomes easier. Over time, your mind associates effort with results, not fear. That's when confidence becomes natural, not forced, not fake, just part of who you are. If you want to grow real confidence, learn to finish what you start. Most people begin strong and fade quickly. They get excited, make plans, and lose energy when it gets hard. But the magic happens after it gets hard. That's where growth lives, in the moments you'd rather quit, but choose to keep going. Every time you push through, you prove something powerful to yourself. You are reliable, and reliability breeds confidence. There's a quiet satisfaction that comes from doing what you said you would. It's not about showing off or seeking approval. It's about knowing that your word has value. When you say "I will," it means something. That self-honor changes how you see yourself. You walk taller, you speak clearer, you make choices with conviction, because you know you follow through. Real confidence is not about pretending to be fearless. It's about acting, even when you feel uncertain. You might doubt yourself, but you still move forward. You might feel nervous, but you still show up. You might fail, but you still try again. That persistence creates self-belief stronger than any praise from the outside world. Building that kind of inner strength takes time, but it's worth it. The best way to start is by choosing one area of your life where you've been inconsistent. Maybe it's your health, your studies, your work habits, or your relationship. Pick something you've promised yourself many times, but never followed through on. Make a decision today,
Two
not a
things
wish,
now.
not a plan,
If we
but a
run out
real
the time,
decision to follow through this time. Break it into small, doable actions. When you complete one, move to the next. You'll notice something powerful after a few days. Your self-talk begins to change. Instead of saying, "I hope I can," you start saying, "I know I can." That shift is real confidence taking shape. It's not arrogance. It's the calm assurance that comes from evidence, the evidence of your own actions. The world rewards people who do what they say. In work, in relationships, in life, reliability is power. People trust those who keep their word. Opportunities flow toward those who follow through. And while others waste time talking about what they'll do someday, you'll be quietly building results that speak louder than words. Confidence also grows when you stop breaking promises to yourself for the sake of others. It's good to be kind, but not at the cost of your self-respect. If you told yourself you'd take time to rest, don't give it away to please everyone. If you committed to a goal, don't abandon it to avoid discomfort. Self-trust means honoring your word, even when it's inconvenient. Sometimes the hardest promises to keep are the ones no one else knows about. Those private commitments, like getting up earlier, reading more, or staying consistent with your craft. Those are the ones that truly shape you.
been a
No
minute they've done
applause,
this setup.
no recognition, just quiet consistency. That's where your strength builds. That's where you learn discipline, and discipline is the parent of confidence. You'll have days when you slip, you'll miss a task, lose
It's not
focus,
on the
or
DR as
feel
well.
lazy. That's okay. Confidence isn't destroyed by one mistake. It's lost when you stop trying. When you fall short, own it. Don't make excuses. Don't deny it. Acknowledge it. Adjust. And start again immediately. The faster you recover, the stronger your
Retest
trust in yourself grows. Think
by,
about this.
by the 30
If someone you care about broke promises to you over and over, you'd stop trusting them. You'd pull back, stop believing their words. The same thing happens internally. Your mind starts doubting you when your actions don't match your intentions. But just as trust can be rebuilt in relationships, it can be rebuilt within you. It begins with consistency, one small kept promise at a time. Real confidence doesn't need to shout. It shows up in how you handle challenges, how you treat people, and how you manage your emotions. It's visible in your posture, your tone, your patience. It's the quiet assurance that says, "I'll be okay, because I can depend on myself." You might not control outcomes, but you can control your effort. You might not always succeed, but you can always show up. Each act of follow-through reinforces the message, "I do what I say." That message becomes part of your identity. And when you see yourself as someone who follows through, your confidence stops depending on results. It becomes stable, rooted, and lasting. To grow this kind of confidence, stop trying to impress others. Start impressing yourself. Do the work not for applause, but for integrity. Success feels different when you know you've earned it through discipline and honesty. There's peace in that. Peace that can't be shaken by opinions or circumstances. Every strong, confident person you see has walked through seasons of doubt. What separates them is not talent or luck. It's their decision to keep their word to themselves. They built confidence the long way, through consistent effort, daily discipline, and relentless self-respect. If you want to feel proud of yourself, stop waiting for perfect results and start collecting evidence of effort. Do what you said you would. Finish what you start. Hold yourself accountable when no one else does. Over time, you'll feel a deep shift, a sense of control, of pride, of inner power that can't be faked. Confidence is not a show, it's a reputation you build with yourself. You can't fake it for long, but you can grow it, day by day, through action. Each promise kept is another layer of belief. Each goal completed is another piece of evidence. And soon, you stop asking, "Can I?" because you already know you can. That's how real confidence is built, not through words, not through image, through doing what you said you would. Especially when it's difficult, especially when it's lonely, especially when it doesn't seem to matter. Because that's the moment it matters most. That's the moment when your character is built, and that character becomes the foundation of a confidence that no failure, no criticism, and no challenge can ever shake. Chapter 4. Act now on what you know your heart has delayed. There comes a point in life when you already know what you need to do. You've thought about it long enough, talked about it enough, planned it enough, and convinced yourself that you'll start when things feel easier. But the truth is, your heart has known for a long time what needs to be done. The problem isn't knowledge, it's hesitation. And hesitation is the silent killer of dreams. Acting now is what separates the people who build lives of meaning from those who only imagine them. There's something inside every person that whispers what's right. You feel it in quiet moments, when you're alone, in those flashes of truth that appear before fear takes over. It's that inner voice that says, "You need to start this. You need to change that. You can't keep living this way." Most people hear it, but very few act on it. They bury it under distractions, logic, and excuses, because following it usually means stepping into the unknown. But that voice is never wrong. It's your heart speaking before your mind finds reasons not to listen. When you delay what you already know, you create internal conflict. You carry an invisible weight. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, but deep down you know time won't solve the problem. Action will. Each day you postpone, you lose a little confidence in yourself. The heart gets quieter, and the mind gets louder. You start to believe your own excuses, but the ache of unfulfilled potential never truly leaves. It lingers until you finally do what you've always known you must. People wait for motivation, thinking it will push them forward. But motivation doesn't appear while you're standing still. It grows from movement. The act of beginning creates its own energy. The longer you sit in hesitation, the heavier it feels to move. But the moment you take that first small action, even the smallest one, the weight begins to lift. Suddenly, life starts responding. New paths appear, new strength shows up, and you realize that you never needed to feel ready. You just needed to start. Everyone has a dream or a goal that's been sitting in the back of their mind. It might be writing a book, starting a business, having an honest conversation, leaving a toxic situation, or changing a habit that's been hurting them. You've told yourself you'll do it someday, but someday is not a date on the calendar. It's an illusion that keeps you safe, but stuck. Acting now doesn't mean you'll get it all right. It means you're finally choosing to move instead of standing still. Action brings clarity. Thinking only brings noise. The more you overthink, the less you do, and the less you do, the more confused you become. But when you act, you start to see what works and what doesn't. You get feedback from life. You learn faster in 1 week of doing than in 1 year of waiting. That's why acting now is powerful. It transforms uncertainty into experience. There's a moment in every person's life when waiting becomes more painful than trying. You wake up one day and realize you've been repeating the same thoughts, the same fears, the same excuses, and nothing has changed. That's the moment to act. Because what's truly frightening is not failing. It's living a life where you never even tried. Fear will always try to hold you back. It will tell you that you're not ready, that the timing isn't right, that you don't have enough skill or experience. But fear doesn't go away before you start. It fades only when you start. Action is the antidote to fear. Every time you take a step forward, fear loses a little control over you, and soon, what once scared you becomes something you handle with ease. You can't wait for confidence before you act. Confidence comes from doing, not from thinking. Every new skill, every new step begins with discomfort. You have to be willing to look foolish before you can become good. You have to risk being misunderstood before you can express your truth. You have to take the leap before you see the bridge. That's how growth works. There's a cost to delay that most people don't notice until it's too late. When you ignore what your heart keeps telling you, you begin to feel restless. You lose energy. You start to fill your days with things that don't matter, just to avoid the discomfort of knowing you're not doing what you should. It shows up as irritability, frustration, or even boredom. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you're living below your potential. Action gives your life direction. It turns feelings into results. It turns hope into movement. When you take even one small step toward what matters, something changes inside you. You stop feeling like a spectator in your own life and start feeling like the creator of it. You take ownership, and that ownership gives you strength that no amount of waiting could ever provide. Think about something you've been putting off, something that keeps resurfacing in your mind. Ask yourself what would happen if you acted on it today. Not next week, not when you have more time, not when you feel ready. Today. What's one action you can take right now to move it forward? The hardest part of change is not the process, it's the first step. Once you begin, everything after becomes easier. You don't have to make giant moves. You just have to begin. Send the email, make the call, write the first paragraph, start the workout, register the idea. Change begins with one decision followed by one action. And if you stay consistent with those small actions, momentum takes over. You'll wonder why you ever waited so long. You might think starting small won't make a difference, but what feels small today becomes significant tomorrow. One small decision can alter your entire direction. One brave moment can rewrite your story. The people who achieve meaningful change are not the ones who waited for perfect timing. They're the ones who acted in imperfect conditions and improved along the way. Your heart always knows before your mind catches up. It knows when something in your life no longer fits. It knows when it's time to move forward. You can ignore it for a while, but not forever. Because when you ignore what's true, life starts to push you. The signs get louder, missed opportunities, recurring frustrations, inner emptiness. The world has a way of nudging you until you finally listen. Acting now isn't about chasing success. It's about aligning your actions with your truth. You owe it to yourself to follow through on what your heart has delayed. You owe it to the person you're becoming. Every time you follow that inner pull, you expand your life. You grow new courage, new skills, and new confidence. You start to trust your instincts again. You begin to live with clarity instead of confusion. There's something freeing about taking responsibility for your own progress. When you stop waiting for someone else to push you, you realize that the power has always been in your hands. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you your dream. It's your move. The more you wait for perfect conditions, the more opportunities slip through your fingers. Sometimes you delay because you want certainty, but certainty doesn't exist. You'll never know how things will unfold until you start. The people who achieve great things rarely knew how it would all work out. They just had faith that action would teach them what thinking couldn't. They stepped forward into uncertainty and learned as they went. You can do the same. You might fail, you might make mistakes, you might even fall flat. But you'll grow in ways you never could have from the safety of hesitation. You'll learn what works, who you are, and what you're capable of. And when you look back, you'll be proud, not because everything went perfectly, but because you finally acted when it mattered. Each moment you act on your truth, you reclaim a piece of your power. You stop living by fear and start living by intention. You realize that progress doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from trusting that you'll handle whatever happens. You'll figure it out. You'll adapt. You always have. Your heart delays action because it fears loss. The loss of comfort, of approval, of the familiar. But the real loss comes from not acting. You lose time, momentum, and potential. You lose the chance to grow into who you could be. Fear tells you to wait. Wisdom tells you to move. The longer you wait, the smaller your world becomes. The sooner you move, the wider it opens. The question to ask yourself isn't what if it doesn't work. The real question is, what if it does? What if the idea that's been sitting in your heart changes your life? What if the risk you take opens a door you never knew existed? You'll never find out unless you act. You don't have to be fearless to start. You just have to be willing. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move despite it. Every courageous act begins with hesitation, and then a choice. The choice to move anyway. That's how progress is made. Life rewards those who take action. Opportunities are like doors. They don't open when you stand and stare. They open when you push. The people who move forward are not necessarily the smartest or the strongest. They're the ones who take the first step and keep going when others stop. If you've been delaying something important, it's time to face the truth. No one is going to do it for you. You can keep waiting for permission, or you can give it to yourself. You can keep replaying the same someday story, or you can begin today and create a new one. The moment you start, you change direction. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. It's the link between dreams and reality. Every day you delay, the bridge weakens. Every day you act, the bridge strengthens. That's why you can't wait for the perfect plan. You have to start building the bridge as you walk it. You'll never regret acting on something your heart knows is right. Even if it doesn't go as planned, you'll gain something valuable: experience, wisdom, courage. But you will regret never trying. Regret doesn't come from failure. It comes from inaction. So take the step, make the move, start the thing that's been sitting in your chest for too long. The world doesn't need more people waiting. It needs more people doing. It needs people who trust their hearts enough to act on what they already know. Today is the day to stop delaying your life. You already know what needs to be done. The only question left is whether you'll do it. Your heart has waited long enough. Act now, because every moment you act on truth, you step closer to the life you were meant to live.
Chapter 5. Feed your growth by doing what scares you daily. Growth does not come from comfort. It comes from friction, from stretching yourself, from walking toward what makes you uncomfortable. Every time you do something that scares you, you teach your mind that you are stronger than your fears. That is how progress happens. One small act of courage at a time. Fear is not your enemy. It is your compass. It points directly at the areas where growth is waiting for you. The challenge is to stop running from it and start using it as fuel. Most people spend their lives avoiding fear. They stay within what feels safe and familiar. They build routines that protect them from failure, rejection, or embarrassment. It feels good in the short term, but comfort is a silent trap. When you stay in it too long, it begins to shrink your confidence, your curiosity, and your potential. You start to play small without even realizing it. You stop exploring what you're capable of, and instead, you repeat what you already know. That's how people end up stuck. Not because they lack ability, but because they've stopped facing what scares them. Doing what scares you daily doesn't mean chasing danger or chaos. It means doing what challenges your limits.
Order
It's speaking
filled.
up when your voice shakes. It's saying no when it would be easier to please everyone. It's admitting when you're wrong. It's trying something new when you don't feel ready. It's showing your work to the world even when you fear judgment. Growth lives in these moments, the small daily choices that push you just beyond where you're comfortable. Fear is a signal that something matters. You don't get afraid of
Order
the
filled.
thing. You get afraid when something touches your sense of identity, pride, or purpose. That's why your biggest fears often hide your biggest opportunities. The fear of failure hides the chance to succeed. The fear of rejection hides the chance to connect deeply. The fear of not being enough hides the chance to discover your worth. When you face these fears, you break their illusion of power. There's a part of your brain designed to keep you safe. It doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about your survival. It will try to protect you from anything uncertain. But the problem is, growth is always uncertain. So when you start doing what scares you, that part of your brain protests. It tells you to stop, to wait, to stay comfortable. If you listen, you stay stuck. But if you act anyway, something shifts. You show your mind that fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention and keep going. Think about the last time you did something that scared you, really scared you. Maybe it was speaking in public, having a hard conversation, or trying something completely new. Remember the feeling before you started, the tension, the doubt, the racing heart. Now remember the feeling after you did it. Relief, pride, energy. That's not coincidence. That's your spirit expanding. Every time you face a fear, you create a new reference point that says, I can handle this. And the more you do it, the more powerful you become. Fear loses its control when you face it regularly. The more you confront it, the smaller it feels. The people who seem fearless aren't born that way. They've just practiced courage more often. They've built a habit of doing uncomfortable things until fear becomes familiar. They've learned that discomfort is temporary, but regret lasts much longer. You don't have to take massive leaps to grow. Start with small acts of courage each day. Approach the coworker you've been intimidated by. Share an idea you've been holding back. Go to the gym when you don't feel like it. Learn a new skill that makes you feel awkward at first. Every small act adds up. Over time, you build emotional strength, mental flexibility, and self-trust. When you feed your growth through fear, you stop being controlled by what others think. You stop asking for permission to live boldly. You become your own source of validation. People who avoid fear often seek approval from others because they don't trust their own judgment. But once you begin to face what scares you, you realize that the only opinion that truly matters is the one you
Order
have of
filled.
yourself. Growth through fear changes how you see challenges. Instead of asking, what if this goes wrong? You start asking, what if this teaches me something valuable? You begin to understand that even when you fail, you win. You win wisdom, resilience, and experience. You can't lose when you're growing. The only loss comes from standing still. Doing what scares you daily isn't just about big dramatic changes. It's also about emotional courage. It's about allowing yourself to be honest when it's uncomfortable. It's about forgiving someone who hurt you. It's about letting go of control. It's about showing love without expecting anything back. These acts of emotional strength stretch your heart, not just your skill. And that kind of growth transforms you from the inside out. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It will give you perfectly reasonable excuses for not acting. It's not the right time. I need to prepare more. I'm too busy right now. But if you listen carefully, you'll notice that logic is just fear wearing a mask. It's trying to keep you safe from the discomfort of change. The way to break through is to notice the excuses and move
Stop
anyway.
filled.
Action exposes fear for what it really is.
Stop
Just
filled.
a feeling, not a fact.
Stop filled.
When you live with fear avoidance, your world becomes smaller. You stop meeting new people because social situations make you anxious. You avoid new opportunities because they might not work out. You hold back ideas because you don't want to look foolish. Each avoidance might seem harmless, but together they build walls around your potential. When you start doing what scares you, those walls begin to crumble. You expand your comfort zone, and life expands with. Growth is not about feeling brave all the time. It's about acting brave when you don't feel it. The fear never disappears completely. It just becomes a sign that you're moving in the right direction. If something scares you, it usually means it matters. Use that fear as guidance. Let it point you toward the next area of growth. Each morning, ask yourself one simple question. What can I do today that scares me a little? Maybe it's trying something you've never done before. Maybe it's being more assertive in a situation you've avoided. Maybe it's expressing your opinion honestly. Make it a daily practice. Courage, like a muscle, grows stronger the more you use it. Facing fear daily also builds humility. It reminds you that you're always learning, always growing. It keeps you from getting complacent. When you challenge yourself regularly, you become adaptable. You stop being afraid of change because you've learned to move with it. That adaptability becomes one of your greatest strengths in a world that never stays. Sometimes doing what scares you means taking responsibility for your own happiness. It's easy to blame circumstances, luck, or other people for why things aren't better, but it takes real courage to look in the mirror and say, if I want change, I have to create it. That level of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's the starting point of every transformation. When you start feeding your growth with fear, you develop a different relationship with failure. You begin to see it not as an ending, but as information. Failure is not proof of inadequacy. It's feedback that guides your next move. People who grow fast aren't the ones who avoid mistakes. They're the ones who use them as teachers. Every time you stretch beyond your limits, your identity expands. You stop seeing yourself as the person who can't, and start seeing yourself as the person who can try, learn, and improve. You realize that courage doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. The fear doesn't vanish, but it becomes smaller compared to your capacity to handle it. Fear thrives in silence. When you ignore it, it grows stronger. When you talk about it, examine it, and face it, it weakens. You don't have to hide your fears. You just have to stop letting them dictate your choices. Acknowledging them is the first step toward mastering them. Living this way brings a quiet sense of power. You start to feel proud of your growth. You start to enjoy discomfort because you know what it brings. You stop needing everything to be easy. You stop running from challenge and start seeking it out. You realize that the best parts of life are often on the other side of fear. Fear will always be there, but you don't have to let it drive. Let it ride along. Let it whisper its doubts, then act anyway. Every action you take in the presence of fear builds self-respect. You start to see yourself as capable, brave, and determined. That's how confidence becomes unshakable, by proving to yourself daily that fear cannot stop you. If you want to grow faster than ever before, make fear your daily teacher. Every time you feel afraid, ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? It might be telling you to prepare better, to take a new path, to express your truth, or to step up to a bigger challenge. Fear is not punishment. It's information. Use it wisely. The truth is, you don't grow by avoiding discomfort. You grow by walking through it. The life you want is on the other side of fear, and the bridge to get there is built by daily acts of courage. You don't have to do something massive every day. You just have to do something that stretches you. Step into a new space. Speak your truth. Take that risk. Make that call, say that no. Or say that yes. Growth is not about perfection. It's about progress. The only way to keep growing is to keep facing what challenges you. The moment you stop doing that, you stop evolving. So feed your growth every day by doing the things that scare you, not because you want to suffer, but because you want to expand. Because every time you do, you become more alive, more capable, and more unstoppable than you were the day before. That's what feeding your growth really means. It means choosing courage over comfort again and again. It means walking toward fear until fear becomes familiar. It means waking up each day, knowing that no matter what happens, you will face it, learn from it, and grow through it. That's how you build a life that keeps rising. That's how you become the kind of person who never stops expanding. And that's how you feed your growth. Not once in a while, but every single.
Chapter 6. Protect your peace and say no when it feels right. Peace is not just the absence of noise or conflict. It is a state of balance that lives inside you. It is that quiet space where your mind can breathe and your heart can rest. But in a world that constantly demands attention, peace does not protect itself. You have to protect it. You have to learn to guard your energy, your focus, and your emotional well-being like they are sacred. Because they are. The more you grow, the more you will realize that peace is not found in more, it's found in less. Less chaos, fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary obligations, and most importantly, fewer yeses given out of guilt or fear. Saying no is one of the hardest things you'll ever learn to do. Yet it's one of the most important. From a young age.
The hourly
You're taught to
template is the
please,
fallback.
to fit in, to be agreeable. You grow up thinking that saying yes makes you kind, and saying no makes you selfish. But that's not true. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to something that could build you. Every unnecessary yes steals a piece of your focus, your joy, your freedom. Protecting your peace means being honest about what matters to you. It means checking in with yourself. Before you commit, it's pausing to ask, do I really want this? Does this align with what I need right now? Most people skip that question because they fear disappointing others. But when you live your life trying to please everyone, you end up betraying yourself. And nothing destroys peace faster than self-betrayal. The truth is, not everything deserves your time, not every opportunity, not every invitation, not every conversation needs your energy. There's power in walking away from what drains you, even if it doesn't make sense to others. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your mental and emotional space. Peace grows when boundaries are clear. Boundaries are not walls, they are lines of respect. They remind you where you end and where the world begins. Without them, people will take as much as you allow. Not because they are bad, but because that's human nature. People test limits. It's your job to define yours. Saying no is not rejection, it's protection. You can't create a peaceful life while living in constant obligation. You can't rest when you're always saying yes to things that don't matter to you. Peace requires space. It needs moments of stillness. It needs time alone. It needs breathing room to exist. When you overcommit, you suffocate that space, and you begin to feel overwhelmed, resentful, and tired. Not because life is cruel, but because you've handed your peace away piece by piece. There's a certain kind of strength in saying no without apology. It means you value your time. It means you've learned that peace is more important than approval. You can be kind and firm at the same time. You can care for people without carrying their weight. Maturity is learning that you are not responsible for keeping everyone happy. Your responsibility
is to live in a way that keeps you healthy, focused, and fulfilled. Many people fear that saying no will make others think less of them. But the opposite is true. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. The more consistent you are with your limits, the more respect you earn. People might resist at first, especially if they've been used to your constant yes. But in time, they'll learn that your no is a sign of self-respect, not rejection. Peace also means walking away from conversations that go nowhere, from arguments that drain your energy, and from relationships that no longer grow you. You can't heal in the same environment that hurt you. Protecting your peace sometimes means loving people from a distance. You can care without constantly engaging. You can forgive without reconnecting. You don't have to explain your peace to anyone. The more you try to justify your decisions, the more you hand away the control you're trying to reclaim. Your peace is your responsibility. No one else will guard it for you. The world will always ask for more time, more energy, more attention. It's up to you to decide how much you can give without losing yourself. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It's an affirmation of your priority. It's choosing what truly matters over what merely appears urgent. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Start small. The next time you feel that hesitation before agreeing to something, pause. Ask yourself if this commitment brings peace or pressure. If it brings pressure, honor that feeling and choose no. That moment of discomfort is temporary, but the peace that follows is lasting. Peace is also about the company you keep. Surround yourself with people who bring calm instead of chaos. Be around those who respect your boundaries and support your growth. You don't need to explain your limits to people who understand you. They'll naturally honor them. But if someone consistently crosses them, that's not love. That's control. Protecting your peace sometimes means letting go of those who thrive on drama or negativity. When you stop trying to please everyone, you discover a deeper joy. You find that your energy returns. You start sleeping better, thinking clearer, feeling lighter. That's what peace does. It restores you. You begin to notice the small pleasures again. Quiet mornings, meaningful conversations, simple moments of gratitude. Peace brings you back to yourself. But peace doesn't come automatically. It requires discipline. It requires saying no to gossip, to comparison, to distractions, to habits that keep you stuck. It means turning off your phone for an hour. It means choosing solitude over noise. It means focusing on what you can control and releasing what you can't. When you stop fighting everything outside of you, you finally find stillness inside of you. Protecting your peace also means being mindful of what you consume. Not just food, but information, entertainment, and conversations. Everything you allow into your mind shapes your mood and your energy. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, you can't expect peace to grow. Choose wisely. Feed your thoughts with truth, hope, and inspiration. There's another layer to this. Learning to say no to your own impulses. Sometimes the enemy of peace isn't outside of you. It's within you. It's the part that says yes to instant gratification, to unnecessary drama, to overthinking, to worry. Self-discipline is one of the highest forms of self-care. It's choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. You will disappoint people when you start protecting your peace. And that's okay. You're not responsible for other people's comfort when it costs you your calm. Peace doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It means honoring your limits. It means doing what's right, not what's easy. It means being okay with people misunderstanding you because you finally understand yourself. There's a certain beauty in a peaceful life. It's not loud or dramatic. It's calm, steady, and clear. It's waking up without dread. It's going to bed without resentment. It's handling challenges without falling apart. It's the freedom of knowing that your well-being doesn't depend on others. It depends on your choices. Saying no when it feels right is one of the most powerful forms of self-love. It's a declaration that you value your time, your energy, and your inner balance. It's not about being cold. It's about being conscious. It's recognizing that every yes comes with a cost, and that peace is too valuable to trade for approval. You don't owe everyone your presence, your energy, or your attention. You owe yourself the peace of living with authenticity. You owe yourself the quiet joy of saying yes, only when it truly aligns with who you are. Protect your peace with the same intensity that you protect the people you love, because when your peace is intact, you show up better for them too. You love deeper, you think clearer, you give from a full heart instead of an exhausted one. The world will always try to pull you in different directions, but you don't have to go where every call leads. Learn to pause before reacting. Learn to breathe before agreeing. Learn to check in with yourself before committing. These small pauses are where your power lives. You don't need to explain your boundaries, and you don't need to feel guilty for having them. Guilt is the mind's trick to keep you in old patterns. Replace guilt with gratitude. Be grateful that you're learning to value your peace, that you're learning to choose yourself without apology. Peace grows stronger each time you honor it.
Order filled.
Each time you say no when it feels right, you build a life that feels lighter, freer, and more authentic. You stop chasing chaos and start building calm. You begin to realize that peace is not something you find at the end of the road. It's something you protect along the way. And that protection begins with a simple, powerful word: no. Not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of love for your time, your energy, and your life. Because when you protect your peace, you protect everything that allows you to grow, love, and live full.
Chapter 7. Create routines that make you stronger, even on hard days. Strength is not built on the good days. It's built on the hard ones. The days when your motivation is low, your mood is off, and nothing seems to work the way you planned. Those are the days that test your foundation, and that foundation is your routine. Anyone can perform well when life is easy, but real strength comes from consistency when it's difficult. The difference between people who progress and those who fall back is not talent, luck, or even passion. It's structure. It's the small habits repeated every single day, no matter how you feel, that shape who you become. A strong routine doesn't exist to control your life. It exists to anchor it. It keeps you steady when emotions shift, when problems arise, and when chaos knocks on your door. Life is unpredictable. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can control how you start and end each day. Routines are your personal stability system. They remind your mind and body that you are still in charge, even when the world around you feels uncertain. Most people rely on motivation to act. They wait until they feel ready. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Discipline, on the other hand, is stable. Discipline grows from structure, from habits that don't require thinking, only doing. The beauty of a routine is that it saves you from having to negotiate with yourself every morning. You don't ask, should I? You just do it. And that single choice removes the mental weight that often stops progress before it begins. Creating routines that make you stronger starts with honesty. You have to know what truly helps you feel balanced, productive, and centered. Not what looks good on paper, not what everyone else does, but what actually works for you. Maybe it's waking up early and exercising. Maybe it's journaling quietly with coffee. Maybe it's reading for 15 minutes before bed.
The content of your routine doesn't matter as much as your commitment to it.
Order
What
filled.
matters is that it supports your growth and gives your day structure, even when life feels heavy. Routines don't have to be complex. In fact, simplicity is what makes them effective. The most powerful routines are the ones you can follow, even when everything else feels out of control. When you're tired, overwhelmed, or distracted, complicated plans fall apart. Simple ones hold you together. A short workout, a 5-minute reflection, a healthy breakfast, a quick cleanup, small, repeatable actions that remind you that you are still showing up for yourself. You don't build strength by doing everything right once. You build it by doing the right things repeatedly. Routines turn your values into actions. If you value health, movement must become part of your day. If you value learning, you read or listen to something that stretches your mind. If you value peace, you take time to disconnect from noise. Each habit is a reflection of what you want to build in yourself. Hard days expose the quality of your routines. When life feels heavy, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. That's why your systems must be strong enough to carry you through fatigue, stress, and disappointment. A solid routine keeps you moving when your emotions would rather stop you. It reminds you that progress doesn't require perfection, it only requires persistence. Think about the way you start your morning. The first hour sets the tone for the rest of your day. If you begin scattered, checking messages, scrolling through distractions, rushing out the door, you invite chaos into your mind before you've even begun. But if you start with intention, a moment of silence, a bit of movement, a clear plan, you take control of the day before it takes control of you. You send a message to yourself that you lead your life, not the other way around. On hard days, routines give you something to hold on to. When motivation disappears, your habits take over. You might not feel like exercising, but if it's part of your daily rhythm, you'll do it anyway. You might not feel like reflecting, but if you've built that into your routine, it happens naturally. And once you begin, momentum often follows. The act of doing, even when it's difficult, reignites energy that thinking never could. Routines also help manage your emotions. When life feels uncertain, structure provides calm. It's not about rigid control, it's about predictability in a world that's always changing. When you know what your day looks like, even in broad strokes, you reduce anxiety and decision fatigue. You free mental energy for creativity and problem solving. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. The key is to build routines that fit your current season of life. What works for one person or one stage may not fit another. Be flexible. Adjust when needed, but don't abandon the habit of consistency. If your mornings change, build structure into your evenings. If your work hours shift, find new rituals that ground you. The form can evolve, but the commitment to order should remain. Creating a strong routine also means designing for recovery. Strength is not just about effort, it's about balance. Include moments of rest in your structure. Time to recharge mentally, emotionally, and physically. Without rest, even the best routines lead to burnout. Growth requires cycles of exertion and renewal. Rest is not laziness, it's maintenance. It's what keeps your system sustainable long-term. Routines protect you from emotional impulsiveness. When you have structure, you make fewer decisions based on temporary feelings. You eat better because your meals are planned. You work more effectively because you've set aside focused time. You think clearer because you've created moments of stillness. Without routines, every choice becomes a battle between what you want now and what you want most. But when habits take over, the right choices happen almost automatically. Your routines also communicate something powerful to your mind, that you can rely on yourself. When you show up every day, no matter how small the task, you build trust with yourself. That trust becomes resilience. On the days when life throws challenges your way, that inner trust whispers, I can handle. That's how consistency becomes confidence. Not from perfection, but from proof. It's easy to underestimate the power of small, repeated actions.
Order
People
filled.
often dismiss them because they seem too simple to matter. But simplicity is what allows consistency. 5 minutes of daily focus is better than 1 hour once a week. 10 push-ups every morning will do more for your strength than a random gym visit once a month. Routines compound. Over weeks and months, small actions accumulate into powerful results. Some days your routine will feel effortless. Other days it will feel like work. Those difficult days are the most important ones to stay consistent. They're where mental toughness is built. When you keep showing up, you teach yourself that effort matters more than mood. You stop being ruled by how you feel and start being guided by what you've chosen. That's freedom. The ability to act independent of your emotions. To create routines that make you stronger, focus on what truly sustains you. Ask yourself, what habits make me feel alive, stable and capable? What actions improve my energy and mindset, even when the world feels heavy? Start there. Design your routine around nourishment, not punishment. The goal isn't to force yourself, it's to build a life that supports your strength naturally. Avoid perfectionism. Routines are tools, not prison. You don't have to follow them flawlessly to benefit. Missing a day doesn't erase progress. What matters is returning. The strength of your routine is measured, not by how perfectly you follow it, but by how quickly you return to it when life knocks you off track. Flexibility and persistence can coexist. Your evenings matter just as much as your mornings. Ending your day with order prepares your mind for rest and clarity. Reflect on your day. Ask what worked, what drained you, and what you can improve tomorrow. Simple. Acts like preparing for the next morning, writing down 3 wins, or expressing gratitude shift your mindset from exhaustion to satisfaction. That emotional reset helps you start strong again. Routines are not about controlling every moment. They are about creating rhythm in a world full of noise. They teach your mind to move with purpose instead of reacting to chaos. They help you focus on progress, not perfection. They remind you that you are responsible for the energy you bring to your day. Over time, routines turn into identity. You stop saying I'm trying to be consistent and start saying this is who I am. You become the kind of person who takes care of their health, who plans ahead, who finishes what they start. And when hard days come, and they always do, your habits carry you through like muscle memory. You don't crumble because you've already built the discipline to stand. Strong routines make life simpler, not stricter. They give you the freedom to focus on what truly matters. They create space for creativity because your basics are already taken care of. They help you show up with strength, even when motivation fades. If you want to build lasting resilience, don't wait for the perfect time to start. Begin now. Choose one area of your life and create a simple habit that supports your growth. Keep it small enough to sustain but meaningful enough to matter. Protect that habit fiercely. Guard it from excuses, from laziness, from doubt. Because once your routine becomes part of you, life can shake you, but it cannot break you. The truth is, everyone faces hard days. No one escapes, but the difference between those who survive and those who grow is what they've built before those days arrive. Routines are your preparation for life's unpredictability. They give you strength, not because they remove struggle, but because they help you handle it with calm and confidence. So create routines that keep you grounded. Build them with care, follow them with consistency, adjust them with wisdom. Let them hold you when life gets hard.
this upcoming.
Because when your structure is strong, you are strong, and that strength will carry you through every season of your life. Chapter 8. Reflect nightly, and notice how small progress shapes you. Growth often happens quietly. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention, and it rarely feels dramatic in the moment. It hides in the details, in the small choices you make, in the habits you repeat, in the things you do when no one is watching. Every night before you sleep, you have an opportunity to meet yourself again, to look back on your day and see how far you've come. Reflection is not about judging yourself, it's about understanding yourself. It's about noticing how the small steps you took today are shaping the person you're becoming tomorrow. Most people underestimate the power of reflection. They rush from one day to the next, always focused on what's ahead, rarely pausing to notice the lessons behind them. But without reflection, progress becomes invisible. You might be growing, but if you never stop to see it, it feels like you're standing still. Reflection is what turns experience into wisdom. It's what allows you to extract meaning from everything you go through. When you reflect nightly, you train your mind to slow down. You shift from reacting to your day to learning from it. You begin to see patterns, what gave you energy, what trained you, what made you proud, and what you can do better tomorrow. That awareness is where self-improvement truly begins. Because you can't change what you don't notice. Small progress often goes unseen because it doesn't feel like much. You might have gone for a short walk instead of skipping it. You might have read a few pages of a book. You might have chosen to stay calm in a situation that once triggered you. Those moments may seem insignificant, but they're not. Each one is a small deposit into your growth account. Over time, those deposits compound, and suddenly you realize you've changed, not because of one grand decision, but because of hundreds of small ones made consistently. Reflection helps you notice those subtle wins. It reminds you that growth isn't a straight line, it's a gradual climb. Some days you'll feel strong, others you'll feel tired, but every day holds some kind of progress if you look closely enough. When you reflect, you start to recognize the difference between motion and meaning. You stop chasing perfection and start appreciating effort. The best time to reflect is at night, when the world quiets down and you can hear your thoughts clearly. You don't need an elaborate process. All you need is a few minutes of honesty. Ask yourself simple questions. What did I do well today? What did I learn? Where did I hold back? What am I grateful for right now? These questions pull your focus toward awareness, not judgment. Reflection is not about listing what went wrong. It's about understanding why things happened the way they did. Maybe you lost focus because you didn't rest enough. Maybe you felt unmotivated because you're chasing goals that don't truly matter to you. When you see the pattern, you gain power over it. You begin to adjust intentionally instead of drifting aimlessly. You'll also find that reflection builds gratitude. When you pause at night to review your day, you start to see moments of good that you would have otherwise missed. A kind gesture, a deep conversation, a small success that made you smile. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It teaches your mind to look for what's working instead of only noticing what's lacking. That shift alone can transform your emotional state. Reflecting nightly also improves your relationship with yourself. You stop being a stranger to your own thoughts. You get to know your strengths, your struggles, and your patterns. You begin to see yourself as someone who is learning, not failing. That self-acceptance creates confidence because you realize that every experience, even the hard ones, is shaping you into someone wiser. Small progress rarely feels satisfying in the moment because your brain is wired to chase big results. You want visible change, fast wins, immediate transformation. But real growth doesn't work that way. It builds slowly, layer by layer, like bricks forming a wall. Reflection helps you appreciate those layers. It reminds you that success is not about massive leaps, but steady steps. On days when you feel stuck, reflection becomes your proof that you're still moving. You might look back and realize that even though you didn't achieve something grand, you showed discipline, patience, or courage. That awareness keeps you motivated. It tells you, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be either. That's progress. Consistency is what makes reflection powerful. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You start noticing growth in real time. You begin to understand that change isn't an event, it's a process happening every day. Reflection turns that process into something tangible. It turns chaos into clarity. It's easy to go through life without stopping. People fill their days with noise, with distractions, with endless tasks. They don't pause because pausing forces them to face themselves. But facing yourself is where real strength begins. When you reflect nightly, you give yourself permission to be human, to acknowledge effort, to admit mistakes, to learn without shame. You stop expecting perfection and start embracing progress. Reflection also deepens purpose. When you see how your actions align or don't align with your goals, you start living more intentionally. You stop doing things out of habit and start doing them with meaning. You become aware of how your small actions are shaping your future, and that awareness changes your behavior. The act of reflecting nightly also improves sleep.
Order filled.
When you process your day consciously, your mind doesn't carry unspoken worries into the night. You release the mental clutter before rest. You let go of unfinished thoughts and find peace knowing you've done your best for today. Sleep becomes more restorative because your mind is clear. There's something sacred about the quiet moments before sleep. It's a time to return to yourself, to check in with your inner life. During the day, the world pulls your attention outward. Reflection pulls it inward. It helps you reconnect with what's real, your thoughts, your growth, your humanity. That connection keeps you grounded. As you build this nightly habit, you'll notice a subtle transformation. You become more aware during the day, not just at night. You'll start catching yourself in moments of choice, thinking, how will I feel about this when I reflect tonight? That awareness keeps you aligned with
Order
your values.
rejected.
You start living your days in a way you'll be proud to review later. Reflection also teaches patience. You stop expecting instant change. You start appreciating progress as a slow, meaningful evolution. You begin to see that even the smallest effort matters. You
Order
start
filled.
celebrating small wins instead of waiting for big ones. That mindset shift keeps